Badman, LB, Rupert, Albert, and the Bishop Paul Brown. Badman for the 2020-2021. And you know what it is. You know Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego too. This is Paul and Rupert.
We're back!
Coming out with a brand new thought, covered under the blood in which we were born. So we know how to get to.
Is for bold, A is for active, D is for determined. When you consider King David valiant, you have an idea and understanding of where we're taking this. Stay tuned.
Hallelujah, revive us again.
We are excited to bring fresh commentary, good conversation with two bad men. Boy, you don't want to miss this. Badmen4Christ. Join us.
Stands for determined, just like Peter when he did his first sermon. As the saying goes, bad men for Christ. That is how we'll be for the rest of our life. Sit back, relax, and enjoy our show. Because we're stuck in the house with nowhere to go.
Hey!
Welcome everybody. Welcome overseer.
Welcome Bishop Paul Brown.
How are you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing good. You know, we are blessed and highly favored in this season, and God has been doing well. We had a couple of setbacks, of course, with a couple deaths in the church. The biggest one now is our mother, Geneva Johnson, passed away, as you know, and we're going to be doing her homegoing soon. But you know, God is still good, and we thank God she knew Jesus was, so she'll be going the right place. So, but other than that, man, we just thank God for every day, every blessing, every day. How about you? What's going on in your world?
Well, let me say this. Last year, we just passed Valentine's, and last year Valentine's we had this excellent display of menus and presentations and all that great stuff. The pandemic is a little bit behind us, so tell me, what did you do for Valentine's?
Well, you know, I was going to take the wife out and the little daughter out and go out somewhere, but we got invited by Bishop D.C. Thomas, so you know, he invited us over to his house. He had the other pastor couples over, about 4, so there was about 10 of us, and we had a wonderful time. Good food, really good conversation, and good fellowship. So,
oh my!
Go out and it was casual. We didn't have to dress up, so it was nice. How about you? What did you? Now I know you also.
Wait a second. Bishop DC doesn't know me. How comes I didn't get a call? I'm going to send a text after this show. My goodness. You should not say anything, overseer.
Man, yeah.
No. We did some special stuff. We went on to Broadway. You know the pandemic a little bit behind us, so we went to Broadway. We see Hamilton. Excellent, man. Mrs. Brown and I, we enjoyed ourselves. Normally in this weekend we would stay over, but this time we came back home, and we finished up our celebration, our Valentine's celebration on Sunday. So it was excellent. It was excellent show, excellent dinner, and just tremendous.
All right, that's wonderful. And I wonder, the other guy that we had a competition with, he's actually one of our special guests today, so we'll bring him on in a couple seconds. But he also went out, so he already told me he didn't do much either. So literally, we were all pretty lame this year, but that's okay. It was just the fact that it was pandemic, and sometimes the guys got to take a year off.
I'm not going to say mine was lame. You can call yours lame all you want. Mine was exciting.
Oh, amen.
I'm telling you, because I have tried.
Were you in Hamilton? Were you in it?
Yeah.
Were you in it, or did you just see it?
No. Listen.
Let me answer the question, Bishop. Were you in it, or did you?
Of course, I was in it. I was in it.
Did you cook anything? Did you cook anything? I'm going to even wonder. Did you Uber it? You may not even driven. Did you Uber? No.
Let me tell you, man. Oh man, it was great, man. I tell you, it wasn't the original cast, that one that we see in the Disney version,
Right.
But the cast did a tremendous job, and I truly enjoyed it.
Wonderful.
Yes, yeah.
We got a full show today, so I don't want to delay anything. Let's get right to it. We have a special edition, sports edition show. I'm excited because I love sports. Sports edition. We've got a couple guests. We're gonna bring them in. We're gonna bring in Mark Brodus. He's an assistant co-host with us. Elder Mark Brodus, our good friend, and we're gonna bring in Peter Boynton from Neptune, New Jersey, another good friend of the show. We're so happy to have him, and we're supposed to have a third, but because he follows Chelsea, we're not letting him in.
Yay!
Hey. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. All right, now since we have these three men that are great sports personalities.
Love my sports.
I'm gonna ask the questions. Oh, Chelsea made it in.
Oh, Steve, he made it down. He comes it down.
Bishop Paul, before you ask that question, I gotta say something.
Bringing him a little bit, just bringing him real quick.
Hold up, Bishop Paul. My Valentine was not lame. I don't know what Rupert is talking about. Mine was not lame. I had 3 days of celebrations. I don't know what he's talking about.
That's why I corrected him.
Hold it. Bishop, he took 3 days to do what he did in 1 day last year. That's lame. He took 3 days to do what he did. Come on, man.
All right. Anyway, so we got a great show for you for our guests tonight. And so what I want to do is let me get this thing going. And so the first thing I'm going to ask is I'm going to start with there we go. Yeah. We know that Chelsea's here.
Oh
yeah.
Let's clap him.
Oh.
Let's clap him. This man,
this is gonna be fun. All right. So what we're gonna do, ladies and gentlemen, the first half of our show, we're gonna talk about the Super Bowl, and then the second half of the show, we're gonna talk about the English Premier League, and so we want to start off by asking Mark, Peter, Elder Mark, and Pastor Rupert to quickly give me their 2-minute assessment of the Super Bowl and their favorite team. And since I don't have a favorite team at this point, I wanted to tell me why their favorite team wasn't in the Super Bowl. Take it away, Mark.
Well, of course, my favorite team which is now the Washington Commanders. No, they did not make it to the Super Bowl, but they will be there next year. So I didn't have a dog in the fight this time. So, hats off to the ones who won. Good for them.
The name is not going to get to the Super Bowl. This is name alone is going to the Super Bowl.
Okay, Elder Peter, go ahead. Everybody's gonna get their shot.
Well, I happen to be a fan of the 3-time Super Bowl champion, now Las Vegas Raiders. We didn't make it to the Super Bowl because the commissioner had it out for us. He started a scandal that caused our coach to have to retire early. And as a result of that, our team kind of fell apart. The beginning of our season was good. Oh, you can play all the violins you want, but we all know it's true. Listen, let me ask this one question. How does a man have to resign at the end of an investigation and he wasn't a member of the team that was being investigated? No one on that team had any consequence. The only person who had a consequence was the man that wasn't there.
Wait, Elder Peter, wait a minute. Everybody gonna get their shot. Elder Overseer Rupert, go ahead. I don't know why he's asking questions about the Raiders. So go ahead, Elder Rupert. Let's hear your take.
First of all,
yes.
In the spirit of Stephen A. Smith, I am just flabbergasted by the atrocities that these two gentlemen have been raving about right at this time. Because we all know the only team that has been disrespected by the NFL is based in Dallas, Texas, and their name is the 5-time Super Bowl champions, America's team, the Dallas Cowboys.
No, they're not America's team. They're your team.
Yeah.
All right, okay, all right. So hear me. Ladies and gentlemen, our guests and those that are joining us on the show, please send your questions to these sports personality. I'm certain if you are a Dallas fan, a Raiders fan, or a Washington Commanders, we are ready to hear what you have to say. So please, and remember to join us, to like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. All right, okay. That being said, would you all please tell me, give me, why did you expect the Super Bowl would be against the Bengals and the Rams? What is your take?
You're asking us the question. Why do we what do we think?
What was it? What did you expect those two? I mean,
No.
I know you wanted your team to be there, but since your team didn't make it, you might have thought did you think those two teams would have been the teams that made it?
No.
I'll let my fellow hosts answer. So I'm a regular host. I'll let them answer that question.
Go ahead, Peter.
No, honestly, I did not expect them to make it into the Super Bowl. I'm not even going to lie. It was not a dream. I in no way expected the Super Bowl to be who it was. I'll be honest with you. I thought that maybe, quite possibly, we would have a back-to-back champion. While I am not a fan, I honestly think that they had a good shot. They just kind of fell apart. But the Bengals really caught me by surprise, to be honest with you. I really didn't expect them to make it at all. That to me is an underdog story.
I have to echo exactly what he said. I didn't think they were going to make it. But I'm so glad Dallas didn't make it. That's the most important thing.
Wow.
I'm just glad about that,
I thought this was not supposed to be a bashing. I thought it was supposed to be,
It's stating fact. We're just stating fact. We're stating fact. That's all.
Okay, so first of all, let me just say, I really did think that Dallas had a far shot, not a close, a 10%, maybe 9.8% chance of making it. That's what I thought. The Rams, I thought, had a much better chance in the NFC than any of the other teams, only because their coach has been there already. Their quarterback is significantly improved from their previous quarterback. Stafford is a much better quarterback than Jared Goff. They pretty much had the same team, and Aaron Donald is a beast. So I thought that out of all the teams in the NFC, I did think that they had a great – I did not think Tom Brady was going to do it, only because most of his team, he had injuries all year long, no consistencies, and then Antonio Bryant went crazy. If Antonio Bryant stayed, it might have been a different story, but he went crazy, so I did not think so. Green Bay, I do not think that they have enough weapons, and it proved that. They don't have enough weapons to stand up against a lot of teams. So for that. Now, the Bengals, no way, no how did I think the Bengals. I thought it was either going to be Kansas City or the Bills. So the Bengals getting there was a surprise, and unfortunately, they did not come up winning, but just the fact that they got there shows that they're going to be with that quarterback, they're going to be somebody to contend with. And that running game, they're going to be somebody to contend with in the future. So
good. We haven't gotten any questions that we're asking our audience. If you have any questions for these gentlemen, would you all please send them in as soon as possible? So, Overseer Rupert, why is it that you don't like the Raiders?
I did not say I didn't like the Raiders.
Is it the Commanders you don't like? Who is it
now, I don't. Now, okay, again, I don't like the name. The name is horrible. The Washington Commanders, the name is horrible. Now, I don't like them because they're in my division, right? They're in my division. So the fact of the matter is that Washington or Dallas cannot go Super Bowl. One of us have to go. And if I have to choose between either the Commanders, listen to the name, Commanders or the Cowboys. Listen to the name. The Commanders or the Cowboys, I'm going to choose the Cowboys, not the Commanders. And I'm not going to choose them. All right?
Hold up.
That's not with the Raiders.
Why use a high-pitched voice when you say Commanders? No, when I say Cowboys, I mean, you think of Cowboys. Commanders represent authority. So we recognize what you're saying. We're not. There's no such thing as Commanders. Let's not go down that road, sir. No.
Commanders. What?
But I might get in trouble for this, and we can get rid of our owner. I think we'll have a better organization, but that's another story by itself.
What about us? What's the difference? We're the same thing you guys. We have a crazy owner too. Nah.
But is the NFL owners coming against your owners like mine? I don't think so.
Overseer, we got a question from our good friend Rollins.
Has anyone on the panel ever in their I think you mean their lifetime seen their team win a Super Bowl? Yes. We have.
Yes.
All of us.
Right.
Because it hasn't been that long.
There you go. That's all you need to know.
Oh, come on, Albert. You need to highlight.
What you doing with those fake rings, bro?
Come on, Albert. Put some highlight on Elder Peter with them rings so that we can see those
fake rings.
Yes.
Wait, let me see if I can.
Yes, there you go. Put them rings up again, Elder Peter. Let them see them rings. Put them rings up.
Hold those rings up.
Oh.
You want them one at a time?
Sorry, I messed it up. Wait.
He got those out the Cracker Jack box.
There you go.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Every last one.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how. Okay, now
there you go.
There you go. All right. They look real to me. They look real to me.
Those are nice. Those are nice rings. You can get them. You get them at any pawn shop you want. They're nice rings.
Cracker Jack.
All right. Overseer. Elder Brother Rollins is still at it. Yeah.
You must think I'm like 12. Okay. Yes, I seen him win. I saw him win in 78. I saw him win in 92, 93, and then 95. So I saw him win 4 of their 5. I missed the first one, but I saw him win 4 of their 5. Thank you very much, sir. Have you ever seen your team win a Super Bowl?
I saw Washington won the Super Bowl.
He's not Washington.
Yeah. Washington won 3 times, so I saw one of them.
You only saw one?
Yeah.
Why you only see one? You should have saw at least 2 in the 80s.
Yeah, I saw Doug Williams.
Oh yeah,
was it
you
Doug
just
Williams?
saw
It was 2. It was 2. Right. It was 2.
And
I'm
Rip,
sorry.
you just saw 3. And Rippin win 1. You just saw 3.
I don't remember the third one.
Rippin, Doug Williams, and Theismann.
Right. I remember 3, but I just don't remember the one game. That's from I don't know why. It's blocked in mine.
All right. We have another question from Debbie.
Did you guys already discuss Coach Flores being hired by the Steelers? No, we did not, and that's a good question. So, and I'll ask that question if you guys are aware. So, what are your feelings about Coach Flores, who was a gentleman who's suing the NFL and NFL coaches for discrimination against Black coaches? What are your feelings about him now being hired by the Steelers? Now, he doesn't have a head coach job. He's a senior assistant coach on the defensive side. What are your thoughts about that? And David, please, Mr. Hendricks, just because you're wearing a Chelsea shirt, we will allow you to answer American football questions, even though I don't know how much you know about American. Now, cricket and soccer, I know you know a lot about, but American football.
Yeah.
But anybody answer that question?
Yeah, this is the last question because we're gonna switch over to the Premier League. Yeah. Oh my goodness!
I can't wait till we get to the Premier League stuff. But Peter or Mark, we want to answer that question. What are your thoughts on that hiring?
It's sad because again, it just shows how people of color is being treated in the NFL. Man, that's just how I look at it.
I agree wholeheartedly. He has over 14 years of experience coaching. I mean, it should be a no-brainer.
It's the unearthing of systemic racism that is now prevalent in every area and every arena. No pun intended, but that's what's happening in the nation at the moment.
But I guess the question though is, does it weaken his statement as he's being hired by the Steelers, who again their head coach is a black man, but does it weaken him because he's hired, but he's suing for discrimination against black men? What are your thoughts? I mean, should he have said, you know what, I'm withdrawing my name and I'm suing, or because he's saying, okay, I'm going to sue you for discrimination, but guess what, I'm going to get a job from you guys.
I don't think that he needs to not take the job, though. I mean, first of all, he's being hired by a team who's already hired a black coach. The right. problem is that you have so many teams who've not done that, who haven't had black coaches in leadership. And that's really what he's saying. You know, it's great that we've got one or two teams that are willing to hire a black coach, you know, even have a black head coach. But there are so many teams that are not looking at the guys on their roster. They won't pull a guy up. They'll put you in at the lowest possible seat so that they can say, for diversity's sake, we have somebody, but they're not willing to give you a shot. I mean, Flores has, 4 Super Bowl championship rings? He's been a part of leading teams towards the championship. There are so many teams right now who still have not touched the Super Bowl. I would take a shot. Listen, we're not doing any better right now. Let's see if we can shake things up. Maybe he has something to bring to the table.
Well, he also hasn't done a great job either. He's done a decent job as a head coach, has done a great job, but there are other candidates out there that have done decent jobs as offensive coordinators. I haven't got you, like Eric Bieniemy of Kansas City. He's done a great job, and they have been citing him for years now, and he's been working with Andy Reid, and Andy Reid only has nothing but praise for him, pushes him, says this guy should be hired, but no one's hiring him. And they don't go out and hire people who don't even have National Football League experience. So it does kind of drive you crazy on that aspect of it.
All right. Thank you, Overseer. One more switch now to the Premier League. All right. And since you gentlemen have been talking, you three gentlemen have been talking, I'm going to switch to an expert here, the Chelsea. We going to bring Chelsea. Pastor Hendricks, take it away.
Oh, did you say expert? No.
Expert. Come on, Pastor Hendricks. Tell these guys all the hardware that you have accumulated this year while they don't have any.
What
are you talking about? What are you talking about? No, sir.
Give Pastor Hendricks a chance. Let
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, go ahead, Pastor Hendricks. We want to hear what you have to say.
I greet you all tonight.
We ain't got time to be churchy. Come on.
No, I greet you all tonight as World Club Cup champions who have just returned back to Cobham with a special trophy, one of 5 different trophies, I might add. And we are extremely proud of that moment because we are, just to say it again, World Club Cup champions. And we got back and we drove through Manchester, by the way, on our way back to Cobham.
Beautiful.
Presently sitting 3rd in the Premier League on 50 points with Manchester United on 46. And of course, Manchester City is definitely going to win the Premier League, I feel.
Yes.
Liverpool's going to give them a big chance. They're going to take the best shot they can. And of course, it was Tottenham Hotspur this weekend that blew the title race wide open by beating Manchester City 3-2. But undoubtedly, the greatest team in England right now in the English Premier League are the current champions, Manchester City, who are going to be crowned the new champions once again.
No, sir. No.
You know,
Go ahead, Rupert. Go
okay,
ahead.
so first of all, just because you have the best record doesn't make you the best team. Okay,
That's right.
It means you're winning the most games. I understand that. The best team in Premier Football history, the GOAT, let's just call him the GOAT of Premier League soccer, is in Manchester, but it's not Manchester City. It's Manchester United.
And that's a fact.
That is, you can look it up. We have more, I think we have the most trophies of any other club. We have won the most Premier League championships than any other club. Matter of fact, Chelsea used to call us Big Brother.
That's right. That's right.
They used to call us the Big Brother.
That's right.
They want to be just like us.
Right. Now, I give it to you, Chelsea. You are doing good this season, yes. But the tables will always turn.
Right.
Yeah, because you could be like Birmingham City.
Oh.
Woo!
Now you started.
Now that can cause me. That will drive a man to drink.
Okay. So why'd you try to bring Birmingham into this?
I was just saying, there's some people on here that might be fans of Birmingham City, and the last time they were in the Premier League was like 2010. So I know they're not talking with the Dallas Cowboys. When was the last time I saw them win a Super Bowl? When was the last time you saw Birmingham City win a Premier League championship?
Wow.
It's Mr. Rollins. You know I'm talking to, Mr. Rollins.
Agreed. No, agreed. The GOAT of all time would be crowned Manchester United, especially in the infamous reign of one Sir Alex Ferguson.
That's correct.
Absolutely. Hands down.
Sir Alex.
Absolutely.
But this year, for whatever reason, we have so much talent on the field. They're just not gelling. I mean, for what I don't understand, they're just not gelling. So it's been causing a lot of issues going back and forth. And you got some highly paid players on that pitch, but they're just not doing what they should be doing.
There's been a bit of critique recently, and I follow. He's an interesting character. He's a very rustic, strong character in the name of Roy Keane. I follow Roy Keane a lot, and Roy Keane has sort of built up a narrative of the comparison of the old order and the new order of player in the Premier League, and a lot of criticism has been labeled against those who are young and up and coming. And even recently, I was having some tete-a-la-tete with people on Facebook, where the younger generation that's coming up now, it appears that their performance is more on the basis of publicity rather than a strong, private, disciplined work ethic. Wages are higher. The money that surrounds the entire persona of anyone who's talented in the Premier League now is entirely different of what it was back in the day. And that has somehow caused maybe the quality or the standard of play to drop, despite the fact that there are very talented young players out there today. But there's the challenge of a young player who wants big money, who wants the big camera, lights, action, wants the big platform. But then, as we're seeing at Chelsea at the moment, they play very inconsistently. They choose the games they really want to play. Mm-hmm. And of course, if we have time, I'll come back to the Lukaku issue that prevails at Chelsea at the moment. And of course, but Manchester United have some of their own challenges at the moment. Absolutely. Probably on paper, they have the best team to me in the Premier League. They have the best team, the best lineup. But I think there's a difference between a returning superstar in the name of Ronaldo and getting him to gel in with the rest of the players that are there. But when you look at Sancho, Ronaldo, De Gea, Fernandes, I mean, Fred, the lineup is just absolutely amazing. But I think Ragnick is going to pull some things together. I think he's getting things straight. So we'll see what happens.
I think PSG gonna win the Championship League.
Ooh.
You think so? Why?
Yeah.
That's because Messi's on that team. That's the only reason why.
Yeah. Well, again, even with PSG, what we've seen this weekend, even with Nantes knocked them, was it 3-1? Beat them 3-1?
Mm-hmm.
Even Messi is having a difficult time in gelling to life in Paris. Again, on paper, in France, they have the best team. I think the final possibly could be PSG Manchester City. I love my team, but I don't think we're going to retain it. We could. It's everything is sort of just up in the air at the moment. But the way certain teams are playing. They're playing far more consistently than this team right here.
Yeah, but I think also we have to remember that in all these divisions, in all these games, especially in this massive 5 different championships that they go on in the European soccer and Asian soccer during this time, it's crazy because you can have a team like Chelsea that came out of nowhere. Chelsea wasn't a powerhouse looking at a team, but when they played last year, during those games, they played well. They ended up winning. So I don't know if you can say PSG is going to win it. They might be the 2 best looking teams right now, but you sometimes get a team like a Liverpool could do something. You never know because it comes to time to mesh, and it's like any sport. You're playing well during those certain games, and sometimes you just don't play well during your league game in the Premier League, and it's happened many a time. Even Manchester United a couple of years ago almost won UEFA when they were like in 5th or 6th in the Premier League. Right, it happens that way sometimes. You just play well during a series.
All right, one more make a switch. Let's take one of Debbie Johnson's question and then I want to make a switch to the Olympics. So overseer, please. Yeah.
Remember, we have an hour, Bishop Brown. Don't remember. You might be thinking only 45 minutes. Remember, we have an hour. Remember,
but this other question is going to take you at least.
The first question she had was, what year did Chelsea win the World Club Cup? And that was this year.
Right.
But you can answer. So it was this year. It was this year they won this recently. Actually, last week?
Yes, sir. Last week, yes.
Right. So they won last week. So they won it last week. Who did they play? Who was
in the final? They played Palmeiras from Brazil,
which is a powerhouse team from Brazil. Yes. Actually, Palmeiras they're like the Manchester United, right, of the South America league.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, they're a powerhouse. Yes. And it's so weird that so it is so weird. Soccer is the biggest sport. Well, let me not say soccer because that's the wrong name for it. Football is the biggest sport in the world.
Right.
And there are tons of, and I'm going to ask this question before Debbie before I answer this question. What do you think about the money that is now being spent in the football leagues? You can complain about American football, baseball, basketball, all you want to. They can't touch what's being spent in the world football. What are your guys' feelings about it? I mean, there are guys that are making millions of dollars and may never see the pitch. What do you guys think about this?
And that's why a lot of them from here try to get over there so they can make it like that. I mean, what's his name? The guy on your team, Plasic, came from Pennsylvania. He's on Chelsea, making big bucks.
He's good.
Yeah.
But he's good.
Yeah.
Right? You can't blame him for trying to get over there because he's good.
Mm-hmm. There was a huge story last week where PSG are offering Kylian Mbappe a brand new contract. Kylian Mbappe wants to go to, he's the main striker of PSG, or one of them. He's wanting to go to Real Madrid, and his contract, he's a free agent in the summer of this year. And PSG sat down with him, encouraging him to sign up a new contract. They are offering him $1 million a week if he will consider re-signing with PSG. And many of us that are in the sport think that is absolutely criminal. It is outrageous to even consider. Now, the part of the problem for me is I delve into a lot and I study a lot on the challenge of wealth inequality. So I'm the wrong person to ask that question, because I think it is absolutely disgusting and outrageous for football players to earn the kinds of money that they're earning. Look at Lionel Messi. Yeah. Lionel Messi is playing as a substandard player right now. How the mighty have fallen.
Right.
And here he was crying at Barcelona. He was wanting to stay. Do you know how much he was earning a week at Barcelona? He was earning over $600,000.
Yeah.
And he wanted a new contract with more money. And right now, Barcelona should be going into liquidation because they're financially bankrupt. In this country, you would call it declaring Chapter 13, because of the kinds of monies that they were paying players. It's absolutely incredible. And it's tied into Sister Deborah's question, which is at the bottom here, but I'll let you take care of that.
Yes. So Debbie's asking a question: are many teams players being distracted by off-field problems and scandals? It's sports, but let you guys answer this. It's go ahead if anybody wants to answer. I mean, I think all of our teams have somebody.
I mean, just like look at Manchester United. You know, one of their good players, Greenwood, he got caught up in a sexual scandal. Now he's off the team until an investigation is cleared. So, it's stuff that happens like that is messing up the whole flow of the team.
Yeah, there's Mendy, the defender from Manchester City. The fifth woman has come forward with a rape case against him. I mean, he's in serious trouble. And again, I try not to be too critical, too judgmental, but I think it's a lot of the egocentricity that is developed around players, the attention that they receive, the amount of jerseys that they can sell, the money that they earn, the cars that they drive. I was watching a YouTube video back in the day when Ronaldo was playing for Real Madrid on the players coming in for training. Mm-hmm. You had to see the kinds of vehicles that they were driving in. Yeah, absolutely crazy. But there's a silver lining because you have from N'Golo Kante. Have you heard of N'Golo Kante?
No.
No? N'Golo Kante is our midfielder. He's a French midfielder. Very humble guy. He's a Muslim. He drives a Mini, one of the new Minis. And he's much like Sadio Mane. They give a lot of their money away to charity. And he refuses to really get into a lot of the drama and a lot of the egoism that's out there. And it's sad. But anyway, going back to Sister Deb's question, when that money gets into it, that ego gets into it, people feel as if they're untouchable. And even for Tammy Abrams, who used to play for Chelsea, he got into some problems with girls in his apartment. And there was police called early hours of the morning. It was, but it's to me, it's becoming a systemic problem, and it's a situation that's out of control.
Overseer, let's take this one question here from Miss Trisha Brown, and then we're going to move into our final segment, the Olympics.
So Trisha Brown's she's kind of making a statement. Owners make so much money off these athletes; they deserve to get paid. They sacrifice everything to be at the levels they play. Okay, so I'm going to start off by answering this question because I have my own thought on this question. So. Mm-hmm. Yes, owners do make a lot of money, but the risk is heavily on the ownership. It's not on the players. Unfortunately, the players do bring in the fans. They bring in the numbers for T-shirts sold or jerseys sold and all that. Yes, I understand that. But at the end of the day, the players will not go bankrupt. Like he was just saying, Barcelona is going bankrupt. So all the owners of that team are going to have to cover Barcelona or take the heat. And now again, they don't have to work. They're going to still be rich. Let's not be stupid. Oh. They go bankrupt. The owners are still going to be multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires. They'll still be rich because Barcelona is a corporation. It's not an individual. So Barcelona will lose, and they'll lose all the money they put into that. But the risk really does fall upon the owner. So yes, they make all the money. But what we're saying is that these players make a ton of money. And what it comes down to was players make a ton of money, owners make a lot of money. But the individuals watching the game pay a lot higher price tickets because of all of that. If the owners made less, the players made less, guess what? More people could go to games. Right now, a basketball game in the United States, even the crappy teams, the teams that aren't very good, you are spending, if you take a family of 4, you're spending probably $200 on a crappy seat, not even a good seat. You spend at least $100 for that one game. If you're watching good teams right now, you're probably paying $450 for an average seat. Don't even try to get in a good seat. And that's what you're paying for one game. So it's coming down. It's hurting us more than anybody else. Whoever gets paid, it's hurting the fan, the person who wants to rah-rah, the blue-collar worker who is not making $1,000 a day to be able to go to these games. Corporate sponsors are eating up the seats, and it's just making it so tough for us. That's my take on that.
And not to forget, a lot of these professional football players have multiple streams of income. It's not just the wages that they are paid from their clubs, which in some ways for me are unjustified, but be that as it may. They also receive millions of dollars from endorsements,
Yeah.
whether they are pushing a juice or a bar of soap or a cologne. They're making a lot of money. And to the young lady's comment, or to the lady's comment on here, they're getting paid. They're playing and they're working, so they need to get paid. I agree with Michel Platini. Unfortunately, he left FIFA with 2 black eyes, not one, because of the scandal. But shortly before Michel Platini left, one of the things that he strongly advocated was for players' salaries to be capped. And because he began to warn of the storm that was coming in terms of all of the sexual innuendos and scandals that would take place. I mean, even one of the greatest players, unfortunately, that's never ever risen to the top because of his behavior, Mario Balotelli. If Mario Balotelli was given an opportunity to really get his head right and get his head in the game, he would have been a Ballon d'Or by now. So what did he do? He lost his mind. I mean, he got parking tickets in the city of Manchester to the sum of £35,000, just being irresponsible.
He's
taking firecrackers and throwing it inside a laundrette that's full of people, doing all kinds of childish things. And that's because I have the money, I can flaunt it, I have power, and it creates the sense of invincibility, which is so sad in the life of Balotelli. But to me, these are systemic issues that at some point in time would need to be looked at.
Yeah, but
David, gentlemen, thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. Now we're going to move to a subject matter. I'm not going to ask you all to comment on the Olympics. You can do so in a very 1 or 2 sentences, because I don't want to put anyone on the spot. But one thing that has came up is the scandal of this last Olympics, where we have the Russian skater who was caught with doping and was allowed to compete. And so the question on the floor really is, what are your thoughts? Why did what do you think about the Russian player was given the opportunity to compete compared with the American sprinter who was banned from competing? Elder Peter, you want to start off the and then Elder Brodus, Overseer, and Pastor Hendricks?
So, I mean, I hate to start the conversation on this note, but apart from systemic racism, I really don't know how else we can frame this conversation. I mean, if you look at what they decided in the Winter Olympics, they basically said, well, you know, we need to have an investigation and a full trial and find her guilty of doping before we can punish her. So let's let her go out and potentially win. And then if she wins and she gets the medal and we find out that she really was doping, then we'll pull it back. But when you look at what happens in the Summer Olympics, it's what is supposed to happen. You're accused of doping. They test you. You test positive. You can't compete. That has been the standard. And when you look at the fact that it's Russia who has had their entire country disqualified from being able to compete in the Olympics for doping scandals. So this is something that has already been established as this country engaging in regular doping practices in order to enhance their athletes and give them an unfair advantage. I'm like, I don't even understand how it becomes an issue. As soon as she tests positive, she should not touch anything that looks like the Olympics.
Ella Mark?
I have to agree with that. I'm trying to understand why the Olympic Committee has not been questioned on their decision. It's like, you know, a double standard. I want to understand why they have not been put on blast about this whole thing. That's all I have to say.
Come on, Overseer. You go.
I'll let David.
Pastor Hendricks. Go ahead, Pastor Hendricks.
Ditto to all of the above. I mean, here we had, I'm looking at her name right now, Marion Jones in the 2000 Olympics, who was investigated and found to have taken a substance that was banned and did the honorable thing of taking her medals back, accepting her punishment and handing it back in. And in that case, I'm pleased to say that we had one of our own who's leading the way in terms of integrity. The broader issue here is not so much the athletes, but the broader issue here is organizational corruption that to me needs to be looked at. We can blame these athletes as much as we can, and you're exactly right. Had this been a girl who was from Senegal, they would have chopped her head off and put her in a casket and sent her back. But the fact that she's white, obviously, she has a lot of leeway. But then again, the broader question, as I said, is I would like to see at some point in time the IOC investigated, and even FIFA at the moment, because corruption is rife.
So yeah, so I mean, I agree with what everybody's saying. Another thing I would add though is this, and I'm not a component of marijuana, but marijuana is proven not to be a physical enhancing drug,
Right?
and it's just a banned drug. Whereas in the drug that the Russian skater was accused of was known or is considered a enhancing drug.
3.
So you have one person whose athletic prowess, athletic ability would not be increased, told you can't run, versus another one who said you will increase it. The drug enhances your stamina, supposedly, so you can now skate harder and stronger because your stamina is increased. You're able to compete. So not only is it that they gave one a suspension, but what drug that we're being suspended for had nothing to do with each other. Literally, the person who was not suspended could do better in the sport they were in because of the drug, versus the other one who could not do any better because of that sport that was she in. So it just seems to me that you're not only looking at the race, it's not just a race card thing, but it's also just a cultural thing, right? Because America, Black athletes in America are prevalent, especially in certain sports, track and field, basketball. They are prevalent. They are the top of the line.
Forerunners, exactly.
And when you look at ice skating, you might have one or two Black people in it. But yet they said, okay, in track and field, we're going to be much harder, where there's many more Blacks in it than in a sport like ice skating. We're saying, oh, there's not that many, so we're not going to be that hard. I would say that if there were a lot of Black people in ice skating, I wonder how they would have taken it if it was a Black person who that fell upon. And that's where I think the issue was. Now, I don't know if the IOC has different commissions for track and field versus this. I don't know if that's the case, but whether they do or not, they do need to be looked at. We do know that these countries have problems these leaderships have a problem when it comes to their countries. So we saw it in FIFA. FIFA was this decimated 10 years ago?
Yeah.
For what was going on there with giving certain countries the right to hold the World Cup, because we know millions of dollars were going there because they were being bribed. And I'm sure that if you look at the IOC, you're gonna have the same thing.
All right, we have a question here, and again, we want to say to our listening audience, please send in your questions. We truly appreciate you participating in this discussion, and remember again to like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. Also, we want to say that you can get Badman materials. We got some cups, we have some jerseys, we have some t-shirts. You know, we do it big here. Let me see if I can get. Yeah, we do it big. We do it big. All right, overseer, we have a question from a statement from Trisha.
As Miss Brown is just saying that this was horrible what they did to Marion Jones. It wasn't horrible, but it was bad. Again, Marion Jones, when it comes to the rules, you break the rules, you pay the price. Like David was saying, you know, she did the right thing. She did the honorable thing because she broke the rules, and she knew she did. The difference is she didn't think she did, but that's the thing. But but can I ask this question? I want to ask this question though. We've heard the bad, but there's also been some good. My sister brought something in the church. We do a Black History moment. We do one during service, and she gives one during announcements. She talked about this young lady, these two young ladies who were in speed skating, the African American and the Caucasian. Now we normally bash our Caucasians. We do. We do sometimes when it comes to sports. We bash them. Here's a young white lady, 33 years old, in the speed skating category. because the favorite, this African American who was favored to win, won the World Cup, is stud, fell during her qualifying, was going to be kicked out. This young Caucasian lady said, "Hey, you take my spot." That's big.
Yes, that's big.
What do you all think about? I mean, we really bash a lot. We really get, we talk about systemic racism, but what do you say to this young lady, this young white woman who did this for this young girl? What do we say to her about her, and maybe her, how do we talk about her to the Black community? Because normally we say, every white person is a little bit prejudiced, but it's hard for me to find prejudice in this lady when she did what she did. What do y'all think?
But see, that's why you shouldn't always categorize people. Not everyone is of that same mindset. So there's only the few who make the rest look bad, even with the Black race. So you really can't say everyone is a racist. All it takes is one to mess it up for the whole gender.
You're exactly right.
Yeah. Overseer, I also like to share my observation. I believe that there's a generation that is blurring that distinction. I think there's the younger generation, both Black and white, is not necessarily seeing race and racism in the same way. I think the issue is the systematic racism that build into the system that is actually the real issue.
No, I completely agree. I'm sorry, but being a preacher, you always bring in scripture. When Jesus fed the 5,000, one of the first things he said to the disciples was, "Seat the people down on the grass." And that has always spoken to me. And I think it is indicative of where, to me, the next millennia in the world where we're going to. In our lifetimes, all of us on this line, given our age, we may not see it, but it's possible. I think Bishop Brown has alluded to something that's interesting, because there is an interesting dynamic where change is coming and happening very quickly. But anyway, Jesus said, "Seat them down on the grass." And I think the grass or grassroots from the smallest level in a habitat, the smallest members are going to change the entire atmosphere or the entire habitat as a whole. And I think Bishop is exactly right. It's going to be a generational change. But what would really be interesting to see is if we could get intergenerational change that would take place. Because again, those who are much older, even though they were raised up in the Jim Crow area and saw Jim Crow and promoted Jim Crow, some of them are now beginning to change their minds, and there's a level of repentance that's taking place. But I'll leave it there.
Amen. Anybody else with a thought on that?
Just to
Albert, there was a question before that.
Hold on, Peter. Go ahead, Peter.
No, I was just going to say, just to speak to what you were asking, how do we highlight it? I think what you just did is how we do that. I think that the same way we would talk about the atrocities of a police shooting, or we would highlight an injustice in a trial, we need to highlight those things. When we're on social media, we need to share those things. Number one, because we need to make sure that we are reinforcing the fact that we acknowledge that we do have some Caucasian brothers and sisters who are willing to do the right and honorable thing, who are willing to look past their own personal gain to do something that is good for someone else. So, we need to make sure we're highlighting that so that they feel encouraged. That young lady, if you continue to publicize the fact that she did something good, it will reinforce in her mind that she did something good. And I mean, the good that came to her afterwards, I'm sure will, also do that. She ended up doing well herself later on. But I think that we need to just keep pushing that to the forefront, not just pushing, the negative events, but whenever we have those positives that we can push forward, we need to make them the heroes so that there are younger, people who can look and they can understand this is how they make a difference. We need young people who are coming up to be able to say, oh, well, if they could do something as simple as stepping aside, hey, I'm not going to win this. I know I'm not going to win this. It's my chance to be in the spotlight, but I don't have a shot. This person has a real shot of winning. Let me step aside and give them my place. You know, that's something that can be emulated, whether it's a child, an adult, an Olympian, you know, in whatever sport. Those are things that we can encourage. And if we give place to those people, I think that, you know, we can see that spread like wildfire.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and I know our time's running out, but I think that I don't know if people ever see the movie Glory, the basketball movie called Glory or Glory Road. I forget if it's Glory Road. It might be Glory Road. Is talking about the first black or first African American centric team to win the NCAA tournament back in 1955. The coach was a white coach, and he told his white players were only playing the black folks in the championship game. And it speaks to that coach, but also speaks to those players who said, yeah, coach, I want to play, but I understand what's going on, and I'm willing to sit. No one bayed, no one cried. They went and they played, and these guys won. And so it speaks to the fact that there is always people there, no matter how we feel, no matter what we think, there's always going to be somebody there. I think, like Mark Broda said, that will show that we can't make generalizations. We can't make broad statements. Everybody, they're all. Because there are people out there that will not see. I won't say they won't see color, but they won't see color as a issue between the human race, right? You're black, I'm white, but we're still humans, and I'm going to do the right thing. And that's what this young lady did. Ended up winning. You know, I don't know if it was a bronze or a silver. I don't think it was gold, but she ended up winning herself. So God really blessed her for what she did.
All right. So yeah, take Trisha's and Ken, and then yes.
So Mike Phelps wasn't punished. I think Mike Phelps wasn't punished, Trisha, because he did it after. I think it was not during the Olympics. I'm not 100% sure.
But he was suspended for 6 months, though.
He was suspended, right? But he didn't have to give his medals back because it wasn't during the Olympic year,
right?
Yeah.
It was. I think it was during the World Championships, but I think it was off season. But it wasn't during. That's why he wasn't punished by the Olympic Committee.
Right.
Ken. So here's everybody I'm asking. So speaking to the Super Bowl halftime show, did you like it? What did you think of the controversy of some that did not like it? So the halftime Super Bowl show, just to kind of bring everybody up to speed, was Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, Eminem, 50 Cent, and some other guy, I don't know his name. I forget. I don't know who he is. But those folks came in and did a tremendous halftime show. Lights, glitter, people dancing all over the place. Big stage performance. But there were some people who thought it was not a strong show. I don't know if you saw, I don't know if you liked the music, but did you see it? Did you like it? And what do you think about the controversy?
I didn't watch it. Didn't watch it.
Didn't watch it.
Didn't watch it.
You didn't watch the ball because the Commanders weren't in it. Got it. The Commanders weren't in it. Gotcha. Anybody else watch it? Okay. No one else watched it.
I watched it.
You didn't watch it, Peter?
Watched it. Honestly, the show I think was on par with, you know, what we've seen in the Super Bowl halftime shows. I don't think that it was a bad show, you know, from that perspective. The audio wasn't as good as I thought it should have been. If I was to give, you know, a criticism, the audio could have been better. But apart from that, I mean, my wife was just talking today when we were riding in the car. You know, she was talking about when Maroon 5 was there, and she was like, I didn't know this was going to be a strip show. She was like, every song the guy was peeling off another layer of clothes. We didn't see that. I mean, you know, yes, Mary J. Blige had on her fitted suit and, you know, whatever, but compared to some of the raunchy things that we've seen in the past, I don't think that it was bad from that perspective. I mean, the music was what the music was, but I mean, honestly, I think it was a good representation and a clean version of all the songs that, you know, they played. So
yeah, it was much cleaner from the day of Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson, which was unfortunate anyway. But what was interesting when I listened to a lot of the commentary afterwards was the fact that a lot of the white people who were in the stands, they were boogieing to that music. They were having a blast of a time. And it was one conservative who put his tweet out, who complained and asked if this was something had to do with, was this sexual, he used the term sexual, I forget the last term that he used, but he complained about it. And I watched a little bit of it, and I saw Mary's outfit. You know, it wouldn't be something that I would wear.
I hope not.
Just
Well, it might match that Chelsea jersey. Who knows?
If I wear something like that, cast the devil out in Jesus.
Well, gentlemen, we thank you so much. We're glad. We ran out of time. This was a special show. We thank you. I don't know if Albert has if they have any of advertisement to show our guests as we're going out, but we really want to thank again Elder Mark Brodus for joining us, Elder Peter Boynton for coming to be with us on tonight, and also Pastor David Hendricks. We just didn't have enough time to cover everything that we wanted, and so we truly appreciate you coming. Join us next week. Please join us next week. Next week is going to be our last Monday. I think it is for Black History. And I believe it's Overseer myself. We're going to close out the month with another lively discussion. So with that, I'm going to turn it into Overseer hands, please.
Hey,
Overseer,
everybody,
take it away.
thank you so much to our special guests. If we give our special guests a round of applause for the great job that they've done, to Pastor Hendricks, to my brother, Elder Boynton, to my other brother, Mark. Don't show. Yeah, you can do that anything you want to. Yes. Mark Brodus, amen. Great questions. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. We hope to see you again. You know, Simon's reminding us they have 2 church members, and I'm sure there's a lot more church folks, but it's specifically that we have an association with in the Olympics was a Calander and then also a Randall. So we are so happy that they were there in its representing, and we just thank God. I went to the Olympics one time. Yes, I did. Without
really?
Olympics. I went to the Junior Olympics when I was in college. When I was part of a team. I wasn't going as myself. I was part of a team at the Junior Olympics. We ran. We did not medal. We got 5th place, and it was our first time running the indoor track. And I asked about walk. You know what walked means? Walk means when you're running, somebody passes you. And I actually got walked, and we lost. We ended up coming in 5th. Well, we could have came in 3rd if I did not get walked, but it happens that way. But we thank God. We thank God for all of you. Join us next week, same time.
Yes, same time, same place.
See you
all
next
right,
week.
Take it away.
Stick around.
All right.
Thank you all. It was great.
That was again. To the A, to the D, to the M. So sing hallelujah, revive us again. It's the B to the A, to the D, to the M. So sing hallelujah, revive us again.